has stopped. And also, if it was the rain, I wouldn't have been playing the game right now.
Uh, yeah, true.
Yeah, see, now we got excellent connection. All right, so we're back on. Sorry about that. We're back on. Here
Uh,
we go. Um,
yeah, true.
I want to see if I can give you the what is it? The breakdown. If can you hear me? All right.
I can hear you pretty good.
Okay, I'll give you a quick breakdown, real quick, of these last couple games. We got three left. I gave you a J.J. Watt thing, so hopefully that went through. If not, I'll make it short on that. The Rams fall to 5-12, 1-7 on the road. The Seahawks improved to 9-8. Their playoff ticket wasn't punched until overtime, and even then it wasn't punched because they had to wait for the Sunday night game. Baker Mayfield made one crucial interception late in the game. What worries me is Cam Akers had 100 yards on us on the ground. The Seahawks offense was very up and down up until one drive before the half, or in the third quarter. Geno Smith's touchdown to Tyler Lockett was beauty. But other than that, 114 yards on the ground was good for Kenneth Walker. But they narrowly escaped this Rams game. This one scared me. One thing I did not like in this game is that Diggs made an interception on that play to get the ball back there in overtime, and he quickly showed the ball to Bobby Wagner and ran out of bounds when he could have turned it up for another 20 or 30 yards on a return. But other than that, this was an uninspired win. I really felt they had to come out and show more force, and they didn't. What did you think about the Seahawks winning 19-16?
To you, you didn't like it. It wasn't up to, like, I guess I hate using the words, but up to your standards. But I thought it was a pretty good game, especially with the back and forth with so much on the line. And the Rams, you could tell that they were dying to put you guys out of the playoff picture. But I thought it was a pretty good. I thought it was an entertaining way to go into that Green Bay Detroit game. There was a lot of drama going back and forth. Jalen Ramsey and then Quandre Diggs. Jalen Ramsey flopping after he popped Geno Smith. How did you feel about that hit?
Uh, like I thought the Seahawks for once got all the calls. I thought that was Ramsey couldn't really do nothing. He just stood there. He didn't really lean in and take a shot at him. I thought it was more Smith running into him. I thought the running into the kicker part, Seattle, benefited off of that one too. There was a couple of non-calls in that game too that Seattle got away with. So, um, yeah, I mean, I'm glad it went our way. It usually doesn't, but you still feel a little dirty when a game like this happens.
Hey, well, I agree with you, but as far as I'm sticking with it. I thought it was a pretty entertaining game. And I'm happy that Seattle won. I'm happy that Seattle won, and tomorrow I'll tell you why I'm happy that Seattle won.
Yeah, we'll get into the playoff picks for tomorrow, but last thing I'm gonna say on this game, because I'll have a lot more to talk about with the Seahawks and what commentators are saying and stuff like that. You could tell. The only thing I'm gonna say, other than what I've already said, is you could tell in the post game for Sunday Night Football, for the post game for Fox and everybody else, they did not want the Seahawks to win this game. They wanted the Seahawks to lose so that the Sunday night game would be winner in Detroit
Yeah.
Packers. And once Seattle won, it took a little luster off the game. But Dan Campbell said, "Hey, we want to eliminate these guys," and that was cool enough for NBC to be pumped up, and they were pumped up to say, go Pack, go. Only Tony Dungy was the only one that picked the Detroit Lions, and you could tell after that game. We'll get into that game here in a minute, but after that game, they were so disappointed. There wasn't, hey, the Seahawks made the playoffs. What a great year. Pete Carroll should have had this team at 3 wins. Geno Smith should be a gutter quarterback. Instead, he's going to the Pro Bowl, blah, blah, blah. They could have talked them up. They could have talked them up and said, hey, third time could be the charm against the Niners. It's hard to beat a team 3 times. Nope. It was all about Rodgers and how the Packers aren't there, and you could tell those guys were crying.
Well, it was as they say in the football world, it was a sexy topic because they like throwing that word "sexy" around for whatever reason. But it was a juicy topic. They were like, "Oh my God, if Aaron Rodgers can pull it off and get in the playoffs, they got a chance." And like they were trying to set it up for him winning the second Super Bowl. Like they didn't care, but like because the Seahawks, they've got a great fan base. That's one thing that the media doesn't understand. And like all these other teams, like because it's all about the money profit part. And Green Bay is one of the more well-known franchises in all of sports, so that's why they were banking on that to happen. So that kind of takes away from the conspiracy theories that think that football is actually rigged. Because if it was rigged, then the Packers would have made the playoffs, right? Like they would have had that Cinderella ending to their season. So I mean, I'm telling you, I'm happy that Seattle made it to the playoffs because I'm starting to like the Seahawks a little bit, especially with the way they draft. Man, they got a whole bunch of like nice pieces here and there, and then Geno Smith having to revamp. He's finally arrived, Geno Smith. So they got DK Metcalf and all. I like the Seahawks, man. I'm happy that they made it.
Yeah, it's gonna make an interesting game. We're gonna pick on all those tomorrow as we'll get into everything. But I just wanted to give my 2 cents. I appreciate the words on Seahawks. That'll move us to the Washington Woke, who surprisingly didn't give up on it. When I saw it, they were starting Sam Howell. I thought, well, Dallas is going to tune up for them. I don't even know why they're playing their starters. They don't need this game either. However, Dallas put some really, really. I mean, they didn't play the running backs that hard, but do you think they put a little doubt into their playoff run because they look like trash in this game? Dak Prescott threw another pick. He's thrown 15 picks in just 12 games. Washington wins this one pretty convincingly, 26-6.
Yeah, bad management by the coaching staff. Yeah, again, when it counts or if it doesn't count, but towards the end of the season, Mike McCarthy, he's Brandon Staley now. I think those might be the two worst coaches. Yeah, they're in the playoffs, but in the playoffs, I would say that they're the two worst coaches. I would say that I trust the least amount in the playoffs. McCarthy doesn't know how to manage a team when it matters. I don't know why they started. Like I honestly would have. And everybody knew that the Eagles were going to beat the Giants. Um, but it was just one of those like unless you want to like just be like me and take a crack at the Giants. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know the Cowboys. They're not threatening anymore. They had their nice little peak of the season when they were like in the month of November, early December, whatever you want to call it. But then towards the very very end of the season, just like the Eagles, they ran out of gas and they were just waiting for the playoffs to start. Now we're going to see what they're like in the playoffs.
Yeah, we are.
That dude, hold on, Sam. Before we move on, that dude, Sam Howell, looked really, 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 really good. He surprised me. I was like, this dude's got a cannon. He was throwing that thing deep. He's connecting with everybody. I was like, wow. Like, but the announcer, whoever was commentating, he said it best. I don't know what his name is or whatnot, but he said, don't be surprised if Sam Howell has a great game or a really bad game because it's the last game of the season and don't take too much out of this game. So I'm riding with that same wave.
Yeah, I mean they're definitely going to have to make. It's another team that's going to need a quarterback. There's going to be so much quarterback movement because we're going to have to see about Heineke. Cause I think Rivera really damaged Heineke as far as his time in the Woke. So we'll have to see what happens there. And then is how the future they get a veteran. Who knows? But Sonia's happy they won. She's happy. She said.
Yeah.
The Detroit Lions. So after all that, they were eliminated by Seattle. They were watching the game prior. It was 26 degrees. They had nothing to play for, right? Wrong. They wanted to knock out the Packers. And the Packers came in with the same record at 8-8. And the Packers had, everything. Look, even my dad said it prior to the game. He said, Brett Favre never lost in the cold except to freaking Michael Vick. He usually won all those cold games. It's different with Aaron Rodgers. And, they had the Niners by the balls last year and blew it last year too. And this year, against Detroit, everything was in their way. They controlled their own destiny, and they lose at home. Jamal Williams had another great game running the ball. The Lions had a really good offensive game plan, especially in the second half. That the flea flicker earlier that was called back. And then you had the lateral pass. That was great, or the hook and ladder. So, I mean, the Packers were caught off guard. There's a lot to talk about in this game. Thoughts on the Packers choking yet another one away? Hello? Did they lose him again? Are you there? Carlos, you there?
When are we gonna play mini golf again?
When it warms up. Hmm.
Ooh la la. It's Benjamin.
I hate this thing, dude. Alright. It's freaking. Like, everything's paused. It's just totally effed up.
Yeah, so yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Thank you for watching, though.